I always like to say the awards program was based on, and the concept of it was just like the Academy Awards. Okay, the Academy Awards, yes, we all like to watch all the people walk down the red carpet, and we like to see all the stars. But the main reason that the studios created it was in order for us as consumers to know more about those movies so that we would all go out and see those movies, right? That's the first thing you see. 14 Academy Award nominations, and then we all run off to go see A Star is Born, which was amazing, by the way. But that's what it is. It's a marketing tool, and that's what awards programs are meant to do. In perfect world, when you final for an awards program, a finalist is the launch pad for your marketing efforts, okay? That's it. We've been nominated for 12 Max Awards. We've been nominated for 2. As soon as you get that information, that should be the first thing that's on your ad on your website. You'd be shouting it from the hills, okay? Because basically from that time until the time of the awards program, you're marketing that opportunity. I literally would put award season all over my website just for, because I just think it's so powerful. It's such a big message at this point. But then after you win the award, that's that next opportunity of I won the Max. But don't ever take for granted the fact that a finalist is something very special, because you have to achieve that. That's what the judging is all about. When you come into this, what will happen is we'll have anywhere between 5 to 6 industry professionals from outside of this market come to Austin to review these entries. And the reason that they're from outside this market is that they're completely arm's reach. They don't know you, they have no connection. Matter of fact, someone from Brookfield cannot come judge in this market because there is a Brookfield here, okay? Even though they might be from, Tulsa, it doesn't matter. They can't be here because it has to be arm's reach. That's why we're here. We're your third-party credibility. We're here to manage and facilitate, to make sure that this is a clean, objective process by people who've come in with a clear, pure heart. Each one of the judges has been selected because they've been an entrant, been a winner, and or judged previously in another market. And so they understand, and they come through with the understanding that they're here to really look at those materials and score them with a pure heart and pure mind in order to find the best in the categories. So I always want to talk about the fact that it's transparent, it's completely above board, and that's really our mainstay, is to have credibility of competition. Because if you don't have credibility in a competition, a party on April the 27th won't matter as much, right? It needs to be pure. We all watched when the Academy Awards, they announced the wrong winner. That will never happen and has never happened in our history, because that's our main goal. So today, what I want to do, since we have so many newbies and folks who haven't been through this, and obviously anybody who's submitted before, you may not be familiar with our entry system, which is going to be a little different than the platform you used previously for Max. So, just going to dive out of here real quick. Has everyone been to the HBA's website, to the Max page as of yet? We've created it and organized it so that it's easily digestible and easy to find the materials that you're going to need to create your entries. So a few things, I just wanted to touch base on those first. The first thing you're going to see that you're going to have your categories, and when you click on that, that's literally going to give you the category list, just a nice clean list that you can download. The second is the entry criteria. That entry criteria, that's another downloadable piece. That's going to give you the requirements for each category. I need a team project form, I need 6 images, I need a floor plan, and so forth. That's going to be what the requirements. Then you have entry tips. That's also a downloadable form. That's basically kind of the highlights of the things that we're going to be going through today, but as well as the handouts that we're going to have available to you. So those are all those little reference points you can reference back to when you're putting your entries together. When you get to enter here, that's the application. So we're going to talk about that shortly when we talk about the progression of how you put your entries together. And then you have your forms. And the forms, I'll show you. This is a Dropbox that has all the forms in Word format, okay? Download them all, have them at your ready. Here's what you have. Then you have them all and they're good to go. They're Word. You can edit them. You can format them as you wish in the statement section, but that way they're always available to you. And you can save them as a Word document or a PDF for your entry. But I wanted you to see that because that's the first thing everybody always says, where do I find the forms? They're right there for you. So the first thing we need to know, the first thing I always like to say is, in steps to enter, when you're going to go back today and you're going to talk to your group and you're going to say, okay, I've learned every tip and trick in order to win this awards program, but here's our first strategy. We need to sit down and decide who, what, and where we're submitting, okay? Who did something fabulous this year? What did we create this year? And what space is, or what concept did we bring online that we think is worthy of recognition? And that's where that category list is going to come in handy for you. Because you're going to want to look at that and you're going to want to identify, okay, in Sales Professional of the Year, it's going to be these people. Our builders are going to be these people. We're going to do our website because we just updated it. We're going to do our social media. We're going to do this plan for interiors. We're going to do that plan for architecture. And we're going for the Grand Max for the other elements. Once you finally have that nice list, that's really your starting point, because that's really going to give you like, okay, now I can go back into my entry requirements and I can determine what are the elements I need for each one of those categories. In most instances, there's a single form for each entry, an image for professional achievement. It's a picture of that person or that candidate that we're going to show on screen or on the website. And then for the other categories, there are required images that are going to be asked for. So those are realistically, that's like your first steps. What I always like to tell people is understand what you're kind of taking on, and then see what you have already at your fingertips, and then determine, do I need photography? Do I need to get Bob's picture taken and Sally's picture taken because they didn't have a headshot, or I need to reach out to them to see if they have one? It's determining what the chunks of elements you have to take upon. And if you do that in a nice progression, what it does is it gives you that track to run on. The other big thing you need to know is March 8th. March 8th. Put it in your phone, write it on your calendar, post it on your computer. March 8th at midnight is the deadline for the Max Awards. At midnight, you have up until that point to submit an entry through the entry system and make your payment, and then that day turn around and turn it in. This year, you will not be uploading your entries into a portal. You will be sending them to us through any file sharing service that you should prefer. Dropbox, Hightail, Google Docs, FTP, anything you want. And so within that, that's going to basically take your time period of having to upload those materials into the system. That takes that to 0, because basically you're going to be gathering all these materials into your entry folder as you're going along. And as soon as it's done, drop it into that file sharing service, email me the link, you're done. So hopefully that's going to streamline this process and make this a lot easier for you as well. Because basically, aren't we all using these file sharing services on a daily basis for almost everything we're doing? So hopefully that'll make that easy, and you'll be able to get that done quickly. If for any reason during the process you have a question, again, our phone number's here, call at any time. We're in California, so we have a 2-hour time difference, so that's just the only thing that I always like to tell people. At 6 o'clock, for some reason, my phone starts to ring and I have to remind people, we have a little time difference. But email, anything, we'll respond back as soon as we can. The other thing you can do as you're going along when you're putting your entry list together, if you've never done this for the newbies, send me an email, a list. Hey, Lisa, I'm submitting for salesperson, sales office, interiors. Send me a sample entry. We will then go pull sample entries from another market and send them to you. And there's nothing better than seeing somebody else's work to go, oh, I get it, now I understand what I'm looking at, and then gives you a track to run on. Sample voice for marketing statement and so forth. So, any questions on kind of where to find the goods? Okay. I'm going to dip in here and show you guys how easy it is to do the entry application. This is after you've made your list and you're going to commit and make your entry fee payment. So when you click enter here, you're going to go into our entry system portal. Basically, it tells you the entry fee is $150 per entry for all categories. It again gives you the entry deadline and how you're going to share your materials once you have your entries done. It's very simple. There's a drop-down menu. I want to submit for best logo. It's going to ask me for my project name, which is Treetop Estates. The project location's in Austin. My builder name is obviously the builder name, so I'm going to say it's ABC Builders. And here's the thing, the associate name. The associate name is the person, for instance, for a logo, it would be your ad agency. Interiors, your interior merchandiser. Product design, be your architect. Website designer, whoever designed your website. Whoever should be credited for working for you in the design or the development of that entry, okay? So for this one, it's going to be BCD Agency. The entering company would be myself. Email. The email that you put in as a contact is where the email confirmation is going to go to, okay? So don't put in your boss's email if you don't want your boss to get the entry confirmation. I'm doing this in real time just so you guys can see how fast it goes. I'm kind of doing this really fast with my, not doing it as well. The only thing I will say is all of these credits are what go into everything that will go down the line for the script, for the website, for any other information that goes through. Sometimes it'll autofill. Okay, so now I get down to the payment process. You have two choices. You can click pay by credit card, okay? It'll automatically put your credit card in, it'll go through, you'll get a receipt from the Austin HBA, or you can click check. If you click check, you'll be invoiced, and then obviously that invoice will come from Nicole at the HBA, and you can make that payment. Those payments are due no later than March the 8th, okay? So if you decide on March the 7th that you want to submit and you want to pay by check, you better be able to turn a check around and drive it over to the HBA offices by the 8th, okay? So for instance, I'm going to click check, hit submit. There's my thank you, okay? It reminds me, thank you. My credit card's been charged, it'll appear. For checks, make sure to send the payment in by March the 8th. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to have received on the other end an email notification with my entry numbers, okay? I'm going to come back to this, but this is, so that was the entry form that we just filled out, and that's the entry notification you're going to receive, okay? In real time, I'll show you later when we finish what it looks like. But it says, thank you, there's your entries. My entry number is 14, which is a category number. 4573 is my entry serial number. That is very important because your entry is not known by its project name in the judging. It's only known by those numbers. Your entry materials are due by March 8th. Don't forget to download your required forms. Your images are saved at 300 DPI, JPEGs, 1800 pixels wide, JPEG format only. Make sure you number your entries in the following sequence, which are very, very important because if you can imagine, these are like grains of digital sand, okay? So the numbering of your entry is probably the number one most important thing to make sure that you have it, okay? Submit your entries via Dropbox Hightail to entries@team.pmp, and there's our contact information if you have any questions. Seems simple enough? When you're putting your entry materials together, again, it's a digital entry, you're going to want to create an entry folder. I like to call it your Max folder. In that folder, you can have a folder for each one of your entries. Number it, name it with the entry number that you've been given, and you can name that either with the category or with the project name because the judges never see this element of it. The only person who sees this is Shane and myself, okay? And what you're going to want to do is literally, as though they were sitting on your desk, drop the materials for each one of your entries into those folders, okay? I like to create a checklist. I have a little checklist that goes through and it says, okay, so I need a form, I need a photo, I need a floor plan, I need 6 images, and I check them off as I put them in the box. But the other thing is you can expand those folders and see if you have the materials, correct? Once you have all those together, then you can double check them, do your drop down, do your last minute check, and then you can share them to us. Now, here's what's going to happen. Once they arrive at our company, we determine whether or not we're missing something. Oh my gosh, Mary, I'm missing image number 2 of your 6 images. Something didn't come through in the Dropbox. Did you want to reload that? We had a file error. Okay, no problem. Or, hey, listen, I'm missing a team or project information form. Can you make sure you reload that for us? We want to make sure that we have all of your materials so that you have the best chance. We don't disqualify anyone. We'll pick up the phone and ask a question. So I want you to know that we're on your side. However, we do ask for people to have personal responsibility. We just recently had a competition where we had someone who waited till the very, very last minute. She loaded everything to Dropbox and she walked away from her computer and she didn't realize that it had timed out or had done something, so nothing loaded. She sent the link. We went to go download. We were all ready for it to receive it, but nothing was in the box was empty. And so, again, make sure everything's loaded, then share the link. You know, just double. It's one of those things like we're all working in this together. Tips and tricks. Now we're going to get into this. I always like to say this is as though you were looking at this and going at this as a marketing presentation to earn business from someone that you're trying to compel. As if you're selling this project to a consumer. Solid presentation. The more professionally put together will stand out to the judges. And they're entrants, so they know what it takes to do this on the other side. And it's almost as though you don't want to disrespect them and their time because they're giving up 3 days of their professional time to come here and do this. So here are a few things. 3 to 4 weeks minimum get started on your entry process. If you have some downtime before the holidays and you can get this underway, because it seems like March is really, really far away. It's not really that far away, as we all know. The pages turn really quickly. Get underway, get started. Make those selections early, put in your entry application, pay those fees, and start amassing your materials. Photography. If you haven't already ordered your photography, definitely have a conversation with your photographer about what you're expecting. Look at the samples that they've done previously, talk about the project and what it's being, how you expect it to be shot, what the shot list is going to be that you need for the awards entries. Look at those. There are suggested photos on the entry requirements. They are not required. Okay, for instance, it will say the only required entry shot that is there is if you're entering for product design, we do need a front elevation of your home. A rendering is probably not the best suggestion. It will be accepted, but I will tell you it's not the best suggestion. They really want to see the front exterior of that house, as though you were, someone just driving up to the house to see it in person. If you can imagine, that's kind of what we're doing. We're taking these judges and transporting them to as though they're walking the product in person. Focus that photography on elements, but make sure that you don't have them shoot the room too tight. They're not shooting the bowl on the top of the coffee table. They need to shoot the whole room. Talk about what you're achieving. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Does anybody see what's wrong in this picture? This was submitted for the Nationals, 1,300 entries. Pops up on the screen. Do you see those towels? That broke my heart. And you know what it made? It made 6 people laugh their heads off. Because somebody just didn't look close enough to see, oh my gosh, like what happened to the towels here? So again, take a look at things, double check your work. In some instances, we have one entrant who sits down after they put all of their entries together. They have a war room. And they sit down after they have all their entries done and they go through all of the entries with a group of people to have everybody kind of scrub and listen to everything. They make comments and they go, hey, you forgot to talk about the wine room and how that we had to pull that off in 2 weeks and we had no budget. And we had to move over furniture for Model 3. You need to tell those stories. So, get people invested in the company, create some excitement. And obviously, they'll give you some other insight that might be valuable that you might want to share with those judges. Marketing statements. Everybody's always scared. It's the bane of everyone's existence because they're always worried about what the marketing statement is. Marketing statements should be clear, concise, speak to the person as though there's somebody sitting across the table from you and they're your peer. If you were going to sit there and explain it to them, hey, this is why I did what I did, that's the voice you want to use. Bullet points are huge. They will work very well for you. The flowery, verbose, long marketing things that we put in brochures and on our website for consumers, those are for consumers. This is literally peer-to-peer. Okay, I had 6 weeks, we had to move over furniture, it was raining every day, and we had to use the builder paint package. Okay, those are the type of details we want to hear. We want to hear the down and dirty, gnarly details. Don't talk about things we can't see in the photographs. If there's a charming little girl's room, but we don't have a picture of the charming little girl's room, don't talk about it. All it does is frustrate the judge and goes, oh, I wish I had that picture. Matter of fact, in the best case scenario, if you put your images down, write to those images. Here I am, image 1, front exterior. We went contemporary. It was completely out of the box and out of the norm, but it seemed to be where the market was going. So we use these fabulous materials, and it's really been striking a chord. Image 2, we're walking down the foyer, and it's incredible because we use this incredible ceiling to really showcase the height of the room. Image 3, we're now in this beautiful kitchen, and do you see that waterfall island that we have? It's really sunk in with the buyers. That is almost a perfect statement. Walk us through those images. When you say image 1, we now know where we're supposed to be focused, and we're now on that image, and we're literally walking that judge through that home. A few other things. Write as though you're marketing a marketing presentation. Write to the photos, highlight the things they need to see, dirty details. Boilerplate statements are the worst. So you have 5 or 10 entries you're doing for one community, and you decide, oh, we'll just write one statement. It'll kind of cover all the pieces and parts. It'll tell them all the information, the pertinent information, but it's the same statement. By the time we get to the 3rd entry of your 5 entries, the judges say, don't even bother reading it. They've completely tuned out. It does not help you at all. It saves you time, but it'll hurt you more than you can ever imagine. Write every statement, no matter if it's 2 sentences, to the category. Okay, logo design, whatever it is, write specifically to that category. The other thing to know about marketing statements, we give a 200-word maximum. The judges, and I read the marketing statements to the judges, we don't count the words. Okay, you don't get disqualified at 199 words. I don't stop reading. I'll read the whole thing. They will tell me to stop reading. So what I always like to say is, don't count the words. Make the words count, okay? Think about what you're saying. And imagine if you were sitting in a room and you had to hear 500 of these things read to you over 3 days with my voice. Branding and digital media. Here's some hot tips from writing your marketing statement. Talk about what your intention was. Talk about who the market was, why you did what you did, how you had to drive traffic, how you found the traffic, how did you reach them. They really, really, really want to know your stats. Hey, listen, we used Facebook, we used Google ads, we used Instagram messaging, and for all of that, these are the results from all of those efforts, and this is why we did it. If you can give them that, that qualifies it and lets them know that you had a strategy and a method behind the madness. Now, don't give us the analytics in one of your slides, because that's just a waste of an image. But again, if you can give us, hey, listen, we did a special promotion and it attributed to 2 sales that day, that's what they want to hear, because that's what this is about. For interiors and product design, make sure you walk the judges through the home as though we were there together. Again, like I said in my example, go from the front door all the way to the master bedroom. Tell us what it is. Walk us through as though we were there. Point out really cool things or elements in the house. Oh, judges love to hear how that home or that model is being accepted by the market. They want to know, this is the top seller. We sell 2 of these a week. This is amazing. Whatever that statistic is for that home, they want to know about it. So for floor plans, clean, nice, straight floor plans are the best. Working drawings, blueprints, things that are very gnarly, please don't do that. It's too hard for the judge. Again, know that they're there, and you don't want the judge to have to struggle to find the information about your project. So how we do it for the judging is we're completely green judging. The judges see everything is provided to them on screen, but they look at the marketing statements on their laptop. They're provided with a thumb drive with every floor plan in its folder. That way they can be looking at floor plans as we're going through the images and having conversation. But that way they're allowed to, they can look at the details that they're looking for. So if they have a nice clean floor plan, it's very easy for them to find it. We also like to say that's a PDF document that you're going to submit for your floor plans. If it's a 2-page, because you have a large floor plan, make it scrollable or put the images or put the floor plan side by side on the same PDF. Now, if you have a really large house, obviously that doesn't work out. So scrollable PDFs are the best. Okay. You want that judge to be able to find the information and get through and digest it in the easiest possible way. So this is a great floor plan sample. If you have furniture on it, that's great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Either way is fine. I even like to say if you have to get it from your website or your brochure, that's fine. The main thing that you're going to want to do is have no badging. There can be no names. It cannot say the name of the builder. It cannot say the name of the interior merchandiser. It cannot say the name of the architect. We don't even want the name of the project. However, if you do have, and it does help, if you do have the square footage on there, that sometimes will help us. We will take plan names, and here's why. If we have multiple plans from the same community or neighborhood, let's say you're submitting and you have Plan 3, Plan 5, or the Treviso and the Blanco, that helps us to make sure we have the right floor plan with the right images and we're on the right entry. Because as you can imagine, like I said, everything's just numbers at that point. So this is what our judging system looks like when the judges come in and they sit down. As you can see, this is an overview of the entry with 8 images. The top row is image 1, 2, 3, 4, bottom row 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's as though we're walking through the home. So what we like to show you is, those are the thumbnails. The first time through, the judges see the thumbnails and they kind of get an overview and it gives you an idea of how the home stands together and works together. And the second time through, we take the deeper dive. And I'm going to let you hear what that sounds like.
Square footage is 5,686 square feet. Beautiful inside and out, the attention to detail in this house is unparalleled. From carefully selected materials and color on the exterior to a well thought out livable floor plan inside, this house has it all. The open rail stair allows for entry, but once around the corner, the glass and steady, tucked below the stairs steals the chaperone. The light and bright rear ramp, designed to capture the beautiful views with expansive windows, opens to an infinity kitchen, which perfectly conceals the butler's pantry. An extra large island, perfect for entertaining or casual meals, anchors the kitchen and provides extra counter space. The master suite screams luxury with its private covered balcony, fireplace, oversized walk-in closet, and a spa bath. Upstairs, a multifunctional loft is a perfect place for crafts or home. All outdoor spaces in this home are oriented towards the stunning mountain views, because that's exactly why we live here in Colorado. Let's have a discussion now on this plan, judges, and our thoughts.
Okay, so here's, did you notice a couple elements where they kind of messed up? It wasn't terrible, but the judges then said, they talked about the spa-like master bath. Where's the master bath? They talked about the outdoor living space and the master bedroom, but this model didn't have an outdoor master space, or didn't have that outdoor space. They were just tiny little stubs of the toe, but again, just things that you catch. Again, a pretty nicely done, sorry, turn that back up, thank you. A nicely done submittal, because they walked us through the house and talked about the elements and why they did them. But that is literally how fast the judges see your entry, and then they talk about it, and then they're moving on to the next one. So you can imagine that first impression has to really strike a chord. So if you can have some fun in your marketing statement and even make it a little cheeky, that stands out because it's not as dry. So those are some opportunities. Here are some samples, and they're in your handouts, and we'll also have this all online for you. But here's some standouts for some marketing statements that we recently had in the Nationals. This is a graphic continuity logo entry. Again, it gives us the project location. It tells us the target market. If you can give us target market, drill down into that and tell us, hey, it's a young market. They're 25 years old to 30 years old. They make $150,000. They drive 25 miles to work, and they really like yoga. I mean, you can get that detailed. But then they gave us they told us why they went this way and what their intention was with this campaign. They also gave us some pretty nice samples of the logo in usage, how they did it in print and in digital. This is a great digital marketing sample, and here's why I love it so much. See what they did in that first image up there on the top? They included their stats right there in the image, so it was right in the judge's face. It wasn't just in the narrative that I read to them. They knew exactly that they had 173 qualified leads that came from this campaign. That's a pretty nice conversion rate to a digital marketing campaign. But then they talked about all the things that they did and why they did it and how they came about it, and they put together a package that showed all the elements and what the usages were. So this is a pretty sophisticated entry. I will say that not all digital marketing entries have to be all the way curated onto the actual device that you're viewing it. Screenshots work just as well, but again, if you can give us those details, that helps a lot. Social media, they really, really want to know why you did it, what the intention was, and what did you end up doing with it. If it was just to get likes, or if it's a continuing ongoing promotion because you're just keeping me top of mind, tell us why. This was a overall advertising campaign entry submitted, and what they want to do is they wanted to curate and show us everything from their digital to their website to their promotional pieces that they handed out at their sales welcome center. But what they also did is they gave us those details and those results. And I'll tell you, that's really what we want to know. Home sales increased by 60% over the comparable time from the previous year. They want to know if what you put into motion actually paid off. And it doesn't have to be something extraordinary. It could be something like, we sold 3 houses. 3 houses is great. Don't think that it's not about volume. It's simply about the fact that what you put into practice played out. This is a great sales office entry, and the reason I show it is what they gave us here is they gave us the location, they gave us a really good primary target market, they told us all about the details, but then they made the crucial mistake. They used names in those marketing statements. And in the marketing statements, we asked for you to refer to it in the third person, the project, the builder, the design team, and not in the name of the project, not in the builder name, and so forth. What will happen is, as I'm reading them, I skip over it, but again, it's just one of those flagrant, mistakes where you just need to know it's really intended to be a blind judging. They're not supposed to know who it is, and so then I have to adjust for that. Let's see. So this is a great interiors entry, and the reason I show it, because I've used it for a couple years now, is it's pretty much perfect. Here's what this was. This was a single female living in Denver by the Denver International Airport. It's a 1,200 square foot home. They only could get 4 shots. It's tiny. And there are only 4 really great shots to show. So that's all they gave us in the judging. But there were 4 shots that counted. And then what they did is they talked about what they did and how they had to do it. They had a very low budget. They had to use the builder's finished package. They couldn't use any custom colors. And they had to get this done, and it had to be easily replicated for the market because the price point was so low. It's like $225,000. But it was so well executed, and they explained their intent and how they got it done that it stood out. This literally went at nationals. It went locally, and it went on to win at nationals because they were just spot on with how they presented it. And it was a great project. This is an architecture submittal that we recently had at nationals, and the reason I showed it is I thought it was very well done. They decided to caption their photos, which is completely and utterly open to be done if you decide you'd like to do so. I would say do it, make sure that you don't make the image too small and make those captions too large, because then we have the challenge of fighting to see the image. But a caption is totally okay if you want to address something in that. So they captioned their photos, and then what they did is they gave the bullet point statement. So this is one of those great examples of using bullet points to kind of bring across what you're trying to achieve. This is a 55 plus little tiny plan, and what they were trying to do that made it so enchanting. Oh, and also what you'll notice They also used what we call a composite slide. You have 8 images that you can submit, but let's say you have 9 great photos that you want to show, or you have some detail. You can use this composite slide, which is 2 photos on the same image. That's completely and utterly acceptable, and it's yours to use. However, what I like to say is use it sparingly, because every time you add a photo to an image, those photos get smaller and smaller, and the judges have to work that much harder to see it. If you're going for Community of the Year, or you're talking about a community, you want to make sure you're making the case why it's worthy. What did you do? How is it selling? And enter into those qualifying categories to build your case. So here are my final tips to how to make your entry shine. Follow those instructions. Read them. Ask questions. Label those materials carefully so that we don't have a lost master suite somewhere, or we can't find your floor plan. Remember who you're talking to. Remember your audience, just like I did today. Now I knew there were 50% of you who've never done this before and 50% who had. Know who you're speaking to with those judges. They are normally a builder, an architect, an interior merchandiser, an advertising agency representative, and a VP of sales and marketing. Okay? So they're just like you. They're as though you literally took all of the parts of what would be a typical design team, and they're sitting around the room reviewing these projects. Okay? So speak their language. Matter of fact, industry speak is completely welcome. Talk down and dirty as though we were having this conversation across the table. Keep things concise. Tell your story. Make your points. Format those, curate those images, put them in the order that you want best, think that tells the story of your project or your community. Proofread. Never fails. You always get the proofread where somebody they miss something, or they add too much, or they're too verbose. And always remember, getting noticed seems like an uphill battle. But the more effort and care you put into the entry, the more it will show and shine for that judge, and they will take that, and that will resonate with them. Because like you said, they've been in your shoes. They know what it's like. And there's been many a time where somebody said, hey, listen, that was a strong submittal. It's not going to make the top of my ballot, but it's on my ballot, and that's going to make it a finalist. So just keep that in mind. Any questions? Okay, I got it. So our typical we go for is 5 finalists, with one of them emerging as the winner. However, in deep categories where we have lots of entries, the judges have the opportunity to go deeper in the category. If they go, oh no, we have to keep 2746 as a finalist. Can we go 6 deep here? And they'll determine that based on where they think the quality falls off. It's about recognition. We'll be posting the finalist list following the judging literally like the next Monday or Tuesday, so you'll know right away. The other thing to know for professional achievement entries, if you're submitting for sales professionals or builders or sales managers and so forth, we'll be doing interviews on the 3rd day of judging. And it's on the website, the date that's going to take place. And if you're going to be submitting someone, you probably should ask them, hey, Sally, are you available on March the 27th? Because that's the day they're having the interviews for MAPS, and I'm submitting you. And what that is each professional achievement entry will be interviewed for 10 minutes by the judges. And what will happen is that entry that you submit for them is their introduction letter. This is Lisa, and she's been selling at Treetop Estates, and she's been selling to a 55-plus buyer, and she's amazing, and she's converted, many of her sales. So basically, you're going to write a 200-word narrative about her. Then what's going to happen is Lisa's going to come in, and she's going to sit down with those judges across the table, and they're going to spend 10 minutes, and they're going to ask Lisa 3 questions. What is your greatest success? What was your biggest obstacle? And what are you most proud of this year? And those are the same 3 questions that are asked of every single professional achievement entrant. And what normally happens is those questions will elicit a conversation between the judges, because they'll normally kind of expound upon what's been in that introduction letter. It's a 10-minute interview. I like to say, it's not painful. It's not a job interview. They're just trying to get to know you. Now, for some reason, that person can't come in that day because, they have a client that's walking in the door, they have to drop their kids off. We can do phone interviews. We can do FaceTime interviews, and we've actually had some folks where they've gone on vacation, like that happens to just be when vacation's gonna happen. We've had people who've videotaped those 3 questions and submitted it as a video. And we actually had that happen for an award show we did in the fall, and the guy won. He was on a cruise in Alaska, but he did a great job on his video presentation. So yes, if you're gonna be submitting for professional achievement, you wanna definitely have that conversation with them. Hey, are you around? I just wanna make sure. I'm gonna give you the heads up. This is how this is gonna happen this year, so they don't get an email from me a week before the judging saying, hi, you have an interview, and they say, what? Nobody told me. And it's always good to also give them a copy of the nomination that you've submitted on their behalf so that they don't walk in the door cold, not knowing what the judge has in front of them. Shane has some notes that he's made on his phone that I've missed, so he's going to jump in here.
Really good, really good. One thing I was going to show you, when you went through the entry form, you didn't click on the add another entry to show how easy,
let me show you
how
that.
easy it is.
Yes.
You don't have to do one at a time. Once you figured out what those entries are going to be, there's a little button on there, add another entry, so you can do all 2, 5, 20 at the same time. You don't have to go back in.
Got you.
You don't necessarily, I know it's tough not to do this, and I say this and it still happens, that's fine. But you don't need to call us to let us ask us if we got your entry. Because we'll call you if we didn't. Because if you've gotten a number, we have that number on our log form that says there should be an entry there for that. And if it doesn't come, or like Lisa said, if there's pieces missing, we'll let you know. So we get it that people want to know, but that's how we work it. There's a few categories in the competition that require categories that you enter, but don't forget to enter that category. So for Home of the Year, it requires architecture, it requires interior, but don't forget to enter Home of the Year too. We had entry in Nationals, and we had an entrant in at the Denver Meme Awards that were both going for Community of the Year, and they entered all the qualifying categories.
No, they didn't. They had all the entries to be in Community of the Year, and then they forgot to enter Community of the Year.
Community of the Year. So just if there's one like that, don't forget that. I was just going to reiterate how, when you're going through the example, how putting, image 1, image 2, so that I know when to click to go to when we're going through the big images, how much easier that makes. If you're doing a sales team and somebody can't be at the interview, or if everybody can't, it is up to that team to figure out the conference call situation if everybody needs to be on a call and they can't be in the same room or something, if 2 people have moved on to a new project and another person's over here. So just remember that. And my last thing is, don't forget that all your entries here, if you want to roll over to the Nationals, all you need to do is submit the entry fee for the Nationals when that comes around, and all your stuff is there, and that's all the work you have to do. So. And
another great note is, if you've submitted recently for the Nationals in this last group, those entries are waiting for you. So I will send out an email that literally says, hi, would you like to take your Nationals entries to Max? And I'll give you the steps to do so you don't have to recreate those materials. We'll literally take them and drop them right in. All you have to do is pay the entry fees. So what we really want to do is make this as easy on you as possible, and help you to shine and help you garner those awards. So I did show you the add another entry. As you can see, it's this button right here. If you add that, it will add. And if for some reason you add too many, it has a remove button here as well. So the reason he's saying that is it makes it a lot easier if you're submitting 10 entries to be able to do it as one transaction. And then you get your numbers all in one fell swoop. But the other key thing is if you, March 8th, you decide, oh my gosh, I totally forgot Sally or Susie, you can submit an entry all the way up until midnight, and you can turn that around. It's immediate. So I hope you all found this useful. And
also, if they enter an interior and they want to make an architecture, they can use that entry to switch.
Oh, for some reason, let's say you have an entry and you want to enter it you've entered it in interior merchandising, but then you want to enter it as well in architectural design. Architectural design can go to interiors.
No, I'm saying if they decide they don't want an entry there, they can use that number but just change the category.
You mean replace an entry. What we like to say is, let's say you submit an entry and you decide, oh, we don't want to submit that. The photography didn't come back, or we want to change that out. We want to submit a different plan altogether. That entry is not a dead entry. You can call us up and go, hey, listen, 4715 was supposed to be the Magnolia Plan, but we decided the Magnolia Plan is a no-go. We're going to replace it with the Camellia. Is that okay? Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Just send me an email, let me know, and then when you send your team sheet in, it'll all be replaced. So you can replace an entry at any time. The remove an entry or cancel an entry, that's going to be more a conversation you're going to have with Lucas on how they handle that, on whether or not they'll refund money on that. But I hope this is, yes?
The associate, that would be, how do you, if you have more than one associate, like if you have an architect, a builder, and a designer on a project, where does that go?
So let's say you can do in the associate, you can do an architect designer in the same line. You can have in there, you can say, you know, Basidian Laguna architect / Mary DeWalt, however you want it to be, however you want that credit to appear. Is the best case scenario. That's totally fine. And realistically, on the team form that you're going to complete, which I'll show you real quick. Let's see. Let's see if that's professional. Those are the categories: realtor, sales manager, team form. On the team form, what it gives you is the elongated opportunity to fill in more detail, okay? So you can put it in the box for the entry application, but you can expand here, and we do double check, cross check everything. Like for sometimes, you know, somebody will change and they'll go, oh, I don't want to credit that person, I want to credit this person. But it's not the exact person, it's the company. Like you wouldn't, it's not Sally who worked at, you know, the interior firm, it's, you know, the interior firm. So, does that make everybody make sense? And that basically, as we said, that all carries through into the script, the program, the engraving, everywhere. So kind of be careful with that, because it does have a down the line connotation. Good. Well, I hope you all have a really great holiday season. I hope you jump on your Max Awards entries early. And again, if you need anything, our contact information is there. Email us. We're here to help. And if you ever want to jump on the phone and just kind of go over things, we'll do this. We can sit and have a conversation with you by phone as well, and coach you through it, as we say. So happy holidays, everybody.